So let me start by welcoming all of you to the Sprint 19 reporting workshop. We're still waiting for a few more people to join, but I think we're just going to get going anyway, because, you know, why not, right? We have a super busy and content-rich workshop again for you. And as usual, we had hoped to do this in a hybrid fashion where some of us could meet in person, but the current second wave of the coronavirus that we are experiencing is not really allowing for that. But I did want to repeat something that I mentioned during the last reporting workshop. Going forward, it is our intention, once the pandemic subsides a little bit, to actually run this reporting workshop as a hybrid event, so you can choose whether you are on site or whether you are joining virtually. But today, for this year, we have to do it virtually because of the practicalities that I'm pretty sure you are all aware of. What I did want to stress is that we received from several of the partner companies requests to record the sessions. So I did want to stress to all of you that we are recording, and this is not just the opening and the plenary session, but all sessions are recorded and will be made available through the intranet of Software Center. The intranet has had a few issues with access from the outside Sweden, but we are resolving those, and we will make sure that all the material is available for everyone also outside Sweden. So we'll work that out. One of the things that Malin and all of us would like to see is that go during the day, take a selfie and mail it to malin.rosqvist@softwarecenter.se, because that's we're trying to find ways to create interaction between, even though it's a bit more difficult to accomplish that. And besides that, we're looking for ways to spice up future presentations, our annual report and other kinds of things. So please take a selfie of yourself, or if you already did that, email it to Malin during the day. This is the slide that I started the Sprint 18 reporting workshop with, where I referred to a blog post that I had written in April of this year, where I had noticed that digitalization had significantly accelerated thanks to the whole Corona COVID-19 pandemic that was going on, because we suddenly didn't have a choice anymore. And the question that I asked at that point was, you know, everyone is talking about the old normal and wanting things to go back to how they used to be. But I asked the question, which was, how would you treat this if this was the best thing that could have happened to you? What is it that you can use this pandemic for, and the implications on your ways of working and the way that you conduct your work in the rest of your life? If this was the best thing that could have happened to you, how can you make use of this and exploit this? And that's, I believe, exactly what we are seeing. I think that during the fall, we've seen in Software Center that we are not going back to the old normal. There is a new normal, and the new normal will mean that maybe we will have some hybrid means, but in practice, a lot of things also going forward will have to be virtual, and it brings a lot of advantages with it as well. I mean, the number of hours that I spent traveling and on planes has dropped dramatically, and I have put that time that I've saved to very good use, I feel. We're learning to engage using virtual means. That doesn't mean that everything is perfect, especially the more social interactions or the more informal social interactions are still more difficult. But the last reporting workshop, and I hope that to accomplish the same thing during today, we are easily seeing that we are able to share much more content during the event than what we were able to do earlier. So I think that that's a good thing. The other is that productivity is actually not hampered, but in many places, I think it has resulted in even higher productivity, because a lot of things or time that was wasted in not absolutely necessary activities is no longer being spent or wasted. So people can actually be more productive. And I can certainly see that in the work that I've been doing with the people that I work with within the software center, because to be honest, I think from a publications perspective, this is probably the most productive year that I've had probably ever. And the other thing that we see at the companies is that the digitalization of companies has accelerated beyond belief. I mean, the ways in which companies are now using digital means to conduct their business is really has made a step function change. And I think that that's a very positive thing. And that's going to be something that I think we're going to be seeing in the new normal going forward. The only concern that I keep referring back to is that driving innovation, so doing the new things and driving new initiatives remain tricky, because building new relationships, doing new things, finding new ways of engaging remains difficult if you only have the virtual means and not what the politicians call pressing the flesh, so the meeting in person kind of things. So that's one of the things. And to be honest, if I go back to the last sprint, we've had quite a few very good highlights. I'm just mentioning a few of them. One of the communities that has really taken this sprint, the whole digitalization and online meeting approach to heart is the product management community. In that community, 3 workshops were organized. I was part of those. Around, I think, very interesting topics. Business agility was one of them. Data pricing was one of the second one. It was a workshop, and we had a workshop around digital business models, which I thought were really exciting topics to spend time on. And also the companies thought so, because we had almost all the companies engaged, at least 11 of the 15. It may have been even further. The other thing that we kicked off in, I think, November was the notion of brown bag seminars. And some of you may know that, except for next Monday, basically our intent is to run a brown bag seminar, only 30 minutes on Mondays at 12 o'clock, where one of the researchers in the Software Center will do a quick presentation, only 30 minutes, so you can listen in and watch the slides while you eat your lunch and get educated on some of the topics. We've had anything from flaky tests to the metrics team doing a wonderful presentation, to the last Monday, Helena did a presentation, and that's on business agility, and we had really good participation. I mean, the last one had close to 100 participants, which I thought was really good. Another thing that I think is positive, if you didn't know this, Software Center has a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel has received actually significantly more content over the last half year. So please go there, look for videos. There's a lot of good stuff there. We had another one of our PhD students. I saw that Therese was in the meeting. Therese defended her PhD thesis. So there is a big book of 300 and something pages with 11 of her 20 plus articles in there. So if you're interested in reading what she's been doing, feel free to reach out to her. But a warm congratulations to Therese once again for defending her thesis. I know she enjoys being put in the spotlight, so I can't resist to pointing her out here. There have been cross-theme software engineering community events. So theme 1 run by Christian, theme 2 by Jan Carlsen, the architecture theme, and then theme 3 with Miroslav and Wilhelm have been organizing cross-theme software engineering community events, which I think was really good. And the other thing is that, and Christian Sandal, if you're interested, you can learn more from Christian around this. There were 2 tools that were open source, and I think they're mostly in the testing space. But if you're interested in that, then by all means reach out to Christian Sandal for more insights. One of the things that I wanted to briefly point out is this notion of the speed wobble. And I'm going to talk about the speed wobble for just a minute, because what I've noticed is that sometimes I run into meetings where people are really trying to put the brakes on the changes that are happening, and they are basically trying to make things go back to normal. And basically what I'm trying to stress is that that's not going to happen. So people are sometimes a bit worried about what is going to happen. And I wanted to illustrate this by showing you a very short video of what that means when you ride fast on a motorcycle and you get into a speed wobble. However, we found out this morning that unfortunately on a Mac you cannot join or share the system audio through a Teams meeting. So you'll have to watch the little video that I'm going to share with you for 10 or 20 seconds without the audio. But I hope you get a feel for it. And it may be a bit choppy, but I apologize for that. So if we go to full screen here and we hit play, you should be able to see this, I hope. And now watch what happens to the steering wheel or the steer of. So now you can start to see what is happening. So this is not a good situation if you're on a motorcycle, in case you had any doubts in your mind. So that's what is known as a speed wobble. It's basically the steering wheel starts to uncontrollably go back and forth. And this is something that many people that are racing, or you can even get this on a bike, for instance, is noticing. And I have the feeling that some of us are starting to experience it when we are talking about the speed of the digital transformation. And you may not be interested in motorcycles, and you may see the helmet behind me. I actually like motorcycles. I got back on a motorcycle after many, many years during this year. But the key takeaway that I wanted to give to you is that if everything seems under control, you're just not going fast enough. That is what I wanted to leave you with, because I think that that's a very important thing to remember. The point was never that you feel that things are under control. The point is always that you're pushing so far to the edge of your comfort zone in terms of accelerating the pace of change, that things are actually starting to get out of control. And the thing with the speed wobble is, with a speed wobble, when people get into it, they try to brake or they try to slow down, and that's exactly the wrong thing to do. What you need to do to get out of a speed wobble is actually to hit the accelerator and go faster. So you shouldn't slow down, you should actually accelerate, because acceleration will put momentum behind the change that will cause you to get out of the speed wobble rather than make it worse. So for those of you that are joining maybe for the first time, we have a number of guests that I will show to you in a little while. Software Center is exactly pointed at the thing that I was just talking about. We are looking to significantly improve the digitalization capability of the European software-intensive industry. We have 15 partners, and I'm incredibly grateful for all those partners: Siemens, Ericsson, Wärtsilä, Scania, Boeing, Jeppesen through a Boeing company, Tetra Pak, Saab, Volvo Cars, Volvo Trucks, SEFT, China Europe Vehicle Technologies, Grundfos, Axis Communications, now part of Canon, Bosch, Dive, the newest member, and then Qualcomm. So I'm incredibly grateful to all of you for being part of this. And I want to stress that the key factor that we are, I believe why we exist, is to help you accelerate the pace of your digital transformation. If I talk about digital transformation, what is it that we actually mean? This is a bit of a complicated picture, but this is a paper that Helene and I published, actually, surprisingly, this morning, very early. We got the final accept on the journal paper. But what we have here is a model in which we try to capture what do we mean with a digital transformation. And one of the things that we try to stress here are 4 different dimensions, and of course you can chop this up in different ways, but I think that there are 4 different dimensions that are important to be aware of. I mean, there is a business model dimension where we see that companies move from a more transactional, selling a car, a product, a radio in a telecom system or whatever, to a more continuous business model where you basically monetize the benefits that you are providing to a customer. So that's the business model dimension. Then there is a data exploitation dimension where you go from all this data that I get back from the field. Initially, you use it for quality assurance and diagnostics. and then for product performance, and then you use the data to give more insight to for a customer. Then you go to all the data you combine and you provide aggregated insights to all your customers, and then you move to data for a secondary customer base that you're looking to exploit. In the product upgrade dimension, we initially don't do any updates, then we do reactive software updates. Now we see that many companies are moving to proactive and continuous software updates. But what we then also see is that we're moving towards upgrades of electronics, even and mechanics, and maybe in the end even to a point where we are constantly upgrading all of the product, because the product is not what the customer pays for anymore. The customer pays for the service or whatever it is that I'm providing. And then we have an AI, ML, DL dimension at the very top, where we talk about some of the things. So we believe that all these things are part of what constitutes transformation. For those of you that are not so familiar with the collaboration model that Software Center uses, what I want to reinforce is that we really aim to develop a strategic partnership with the partner companies, and we want to significantly accelerate your adoption of novel approach to digitalization. So this is not some research collaboration where companies are asked to altruistically sacrifice themselves on the altar of science. The purpose is explicitly that by being part of Software Center, you as a company partner changes faster than without our help. This is also why we conduct our research in 6-month sprints. So this is now, we're reaching the end of sprint 19. We are, I just got a message that I'm apparently not fully sharing my screen. I hope you can at least see somewhat of what I'm doing, and I'm almost done anyway, so I'll keep pushing forward. We provide projects that typically run for multiple sprints, but this is every 6 months you do get value. We have work ongoing in 5 themes that I hope you can see at the bottom of the screen, where we see that there is continuous delivery, so continuous integration, continuous test, and continuous deployment. There is continuous architecture, the theme by, so sorry, can someone unmute and tell me if you can actually see my screen or if I'm not sharing?
Yeah, you are sharing.
Yes.
Perfect. And the receiver and the viewer can toggle if they want to see you good or the presentation good.
Okay, good. Now, as long as you can see my presentation. Okay, then I feel a little bit more relieved. Okay, thank you. That was, I think, Magna Standa. So we have the metrics theme, we have the customer data and ecosystems theme, and then we have the AI engineering theme, and all those themes will be presented during the afternoon. Several of us do talk to some companies that are outside of Software Center. Some of us have worked with Booking.com in the past. We've had chats with Spotify, Rovio, the company behind Angry Birds, King, the company behind Candy Crush. We have conversations ongoing with Klarna for different things, and then this afternoon we will have a keynote, the closing keynote by Alexander Fabian, who works in the data science team at Microsoft in Redmond these days. We have several communities, so we do organize, when we do not have a pandemic ongoing, digitalization workshops for general managers. We've run functional safety and continuous deployment workshops that we are looking to restart at some point again. We have a product management community that I think is important to be aware of. We have a systems engineering community, we have a software engineering community, and we have an AI engineering community. And what we're going to do at 11 is we're going to show or have the community sessions for most of these. Why Software Center? Well, we provide through this a more consistent and integrated focus on your key change initiatives. We take a holistic approach. We do not only look into technology, we also look into organizational and business aspects. We provide value every 6 months. And tomorrow we have the task force meeting where all the companies meet in order to decide which projects to support financially, which projects to stop, which new projects to accept or not accept. So you, if you're a member of Software Center, get to steer projects frequently. We have a number of visitors today. That's, I think, good to be aware of. So I throw one of the, or most of the names here. I think ICT.nl, a Dutch company, is also represented, but I think I captured most of the visitors. So if you get in interactions with the visitors, please interact with them and be friendly and welcoming, because of course we're still looking to grow. And if you are a visitor and you like what you see, please reach out to me after this for follow-up conversations. I wanted to quickly talk through the agenda. We will soon, and I already see that I'm a little bit behind schedule, I will introduce our keynote speaker for this morning. I will do that in a minute. Then between 11 and 12, we have the community updates. We have 4 community update sessions in parallel: the software engineering, the product management, the systems engineering, and the AI engineering community sessions. Some of these sessions have external speakers. So the software engineering session has Alessandro Nero, and in the AI engineering session, we have Björn Treje from Peltarion, a company that builds what I think is the coolest platform for deep learning. We'll give a presentation there. Then at after lunch, we will have the theme sessions between 13 and 15. And what we'll see is, you can see the schedule also on the website that Malin sent out and the email that Malin sent out. But we have great content in the continuous delivery, the architecture, the metrics, the customer data and ecosystem driven development, and the AI engineering sessions. And then finally, we have a closing keynote at 3:15 where Alexander Fabian, who's a data scientist now at Microsoft's experiment platform team, will give a talk about enabling A/B testing at scale. And then what I'm really looking forward to that. So with that, I wanted to basically close my part by already now at the beginning, thanking you for a great Sprint 19. I mean, I really feel that despite everything that life is throwing at us, we've made absolutely great progress. And I'm super happy about that. We are getting into the new normal, I feel. I really think that in the spring, everyone is a bit shell-shocked and trying to figure out how to move forward and basically delaying things until things would go back to normal. I don't see that anymore. We are really getting used to that, but I still want to reinforce that when you hit a speed wobble, the best way to get out of it is to basically accelerate. That's the key thing. Finally, one reminder, please email Malin with your selfie. I don't know who this guy is, but he comes from he lives on the internet at least. So, but here's the email address again. I saw that Malin also put it in the chat. And with that, I wanted to thank you for listening to the opening.